BDC Reticles, stage etiquette, and scope rings this week on Mail Call Mondays. Mail Call Mondays is sponsored by Modular Driven Technologies. If you need a chassis system for your precision rifle system, check out mdttac.com. I'm John McQuay with 8541 Tactical, and this is Mail Call Mondays, the show that answers your questions about precision rifles, optics, and equipment. Welcome to another Mail Call Mondays, and we are back from our vacation in Peru. Thankfully, everything kind of went off with a hitch. The 3 episodes that I had scheduled for you guys to release appeared to have released just fine. So hopefully there has been no break in the show up to this Monday. And you guys have gotten the content that you so deserve. But Sarah and I were down in Peru in the Cusco region for about the last 3 weeks. We did a trek from Molapata up to Machu Picchu. It's kind of been a lifelong dream of mine to actually stand in the spot that Hiram Bingham stood in and view Machu Picchu, and took some pictures. We had kind of a blast because it took us about 5 days of trekking through the Peruvian countryside, seeing all kinds of different climates. We actually went through a 15,000-foot pass, saw some glaciers, all that fun junk. Actually got to see a hanging glacier avalanche down the side of a mountain. Some really neat scenery, and got to experience a lot of what Peru had to offer. And Peru is a very interesting country. It is definitely not a relaxing beach and drinks kind of vacation. It's a very strenuous vacation, not only because we chose to go out and strap on full backpacking packs. We were running about a 40-pound load each and actually go out and trek through the mountains, but also because the large percentage of the area that we were at is at high elevation. Even in Cusco, where we were using our Cusco as our base of operations to climatize, that's up there at 11,000 feet. So it does take a little bit for your body to get used to it, but thankfully neither Sarah or I suffered any ill effects from altitude sickness. We had no problems at all. Got to kick off on our trek just a little bit later than expected. Sarah had a little bit of food poisoning out there, but she got over that just fine. We went on our trek, got to see the countryside, came back, relaxed for a few days, and then came back to the U.S., and now it's business as usual. I won't make you guys suffer through all the details of that. We did put a lot of pictures from our vacation up on our Instagram account, but I tried to make sure that I kept our Facebook page kind of clear of all that stuff. I respect the fact that some of you guys really don't care what I do in my life outside of the precision rifle shooting thing, so I didn't want to clutter up our page with all that stuff. But if you go check out my personal page, I actually do have a public figure page set up. We put some stuff out there, but also we put a lot of pictures on the Instagram account. So if you want to see what we were up to on our vacation, make sure you guys check that out. Now, our first question comes from TKO Arms from Patreon. And for those of you guys that are Patreon supporters, thanks a lot. For those of you guys that don't know what Patreon is, we've got a link down below so you can check that out. TKO Arms says, given the lack of documentation and most BDC reticles, do you have a process for determining the actual drop at various distances, or is there some resource out there that readily documents the different BDC reticles? Specifically, several of them that I am seeking information for are military standard 5.56 drop reticles. Well, any BDC reticle from a quality scope manufacturer is going to have accompanying documentation to tell you what the MOA or mil adjustment is for each one of the tick marks in their reticle. So they should be able to supply you with a card or a picture or a PDF or something in email that will give you the subtensions, the amount of distance between each mark on that reticle. If you contact their customer service, they should just be able to email you something out. Now, if it's some obscure scope, or maybe it's a classic scope, or some old Soviet block scope, or maybe it's just a really cheap optic that the manufacturer just kind of etched something in there, and you don't really know what the subtensions are, and they don't have any information for the subtensions, there are really two main ways that I would use to determine what the actual subtension of the reticle is. If you think the turrets on the scope are fairly accurate, then one of the easiest ways to do is to get a hold of a laser pointer. Now, you guys have seen this thing before in the past. I have no idea who makes it. This is a really cheap eBay green laser pointer. It is very, very bright, which is the reason I bought it. It doesn't work well in cold temperatures, but it has a Picatinny rail mount on it, and it's an offset rail mount. And what this will allow me to do is mount this on a rifle that I have a rifle scope mounted on, and I can turn the laser on, and I can co-align the laser and the reticle with the adjustments on the actual laser itself. And once I get that lined up, then I can turn turrets and see if the turrets are tracking with the actual movement of the reticle. Now, for our purposes with a BDC reticle, what you would want to do is you would want to get this guy lined up on the tick mark that you want to measure, and dial your turret and watch the reticle move, and you can use the laser pointer as a fixed point, and you can measure the distance you take to turn that reticle to move the dot from the laser between the 2 points in the reticle. And then you can mark that down, and that will tell you how many clicks on your turret correspond to the distance between those 2 points. Now, if your turret's accurate, then that will in turn give you an idea of how many MOA or how many mils you have between each mark that you measure on your reticle. That's not the best way to do it because you're assuming that the turrets are right. And my guess would be if you are dealing with a scope where you can't get the subtension information from the manufacturer, you're probably dealing with a scope that the quality is such that the actual turrets are not going to be dead on. So in that case, or if you don't want to spend the money for a laser pointer, your other option is going to be to take a board. Now you have to be very accurate with this. You take a board, a nice tall piece of foam core or poster board or something, take a straight edge, and you're going to strike a line vertically on that board. Then what you're going to do is, preferably with a set of calipers or a very accurate measuring device, you are going to put a cross mark at every 3.6 inches. If you want to deal with mils, then every 3.6 inches on that board. You can break that increment down even more, but 3.6 inches equates to 1 mil. So then you can go back and you can look at that board through your reticle, and you can utilize your eyeball to break things down and get a good idea of how many mils each one of your brackets in your reticle subtend. That's kind of a down and dirty thing, but you have to make sure you are exactly at 100 yards from the optic, and you need to make sure that you are very accurate with marking those lines. Otherwise, you're just kind of guesstimating. So those are some ideas to get that lined out. Now, what that ballistic curve or what that ballistic reticle will track with, for that information, you're going to have to take all you've gleaned and go into a ballistic calculator and take a look at where those curves correspond. But those are some down and dirty ways to get some information off a ballistic reticle that the manufacturer has nothing to give you. So I hope that gives you some ideas on how to take care of that. Our next question comes from Facebook, and Sean asks, what are your thoughts on people who finish a stage and leave the bolt back and don't put the safety on? I shot a stage with someone and they said they didn't want to put the safety on because it would wear out their nice trigger assembly. Well, Sean, first and foremost, I want to say during the safety brief, the match director or the RO for that stage should tell you exactly what they expect from you as far as safety on your weapons. Most of the stages that I've been on, there are one of two options. If you are running a gas gun, then what they'll generally require is they will require at the end of the stage that you unload, show clear, place the weapon on safe, and you're done. They'll also generally require that you place the weapon on safe when you're moving from different points. So if you're not on the gun engaging a target, you need to put that gas gun on safe. With bolt guns, it's a little bit different because we all know with a bolt action rifle, if the bolt handle is up and the bolt is to the rear, there's absolutely no way that that weapon can fire. A mechanical failure cannot even cause that weapon to fire because it's unlocked and the bolt's back. There's usually some physical mechanism blocking the firing pin, and there's no cartridge chamber. The breech face is not making contact with the back of a round. So with the bolt up and the bolt back, there is literally no way the rifle can fire. So most of the matches that I've been to, the rule is that when you are moving from point to point on the stage, the bolt needs to be back. When you finish the stage, you unload, show clear, bolt back, and you walk up the stage. It's much easier to identify a safe condition by the bolt handle being up and the bolt being fully to the rear than it is to look for that little safety lever, because Remingtons have the little safety lever to the right hand side of the bolt shroud. Some of the Savages have them on the tang. Some other rifles have them underneath in the trigger guard. So there are various different places that safety lever can be. So most of the matches that I've been at, they don't care about the safety lever on a bolt action rifle. They care about the condition of the bolt. Now, the argument that a shooter does not want to utilize the safety lever because they're concerned with wearing out their trigger, I think that's a BS argument. That really doesn't hold any water at all, because any quality trigger out there, if it has a safety lever on it, the safety lever is intended to be used, and the trigger should be a high enough quality that the safety lever is not going to wear out. If you're utilizing a trigger where you are concerned with the safety lever wearing out the trigger, I would highly recommend that you get a different trigger. If you understand the concept of how the safeties work on a Walker type trigger or an X-Mark trigger or most of the other triggers out there, they work in one of two ways. Either the safety lever will actually block the sear and prevent the sear from moving, or the safety lever will take the place of the sear by holding the striker assembly back. So either of those conditions are not putting any kind of wear on the surfaces between the trigger and the sear. So it shouldn't be an issue in any way, shape, or form. The only thing that you could possibly wear out by overuse of the safety will be the ball detent or maybe some of the internal surfaces that are pushing against other parts in there. But again, a safety lever is designed to be used as a safety lever, so saying I don't use it because I'm afraid it's going to be worn out is like saying I don't shoot my rifle because I'm afraid I'm going to wear the barrel out. So again, that one doesn't hold water. I don't so much care about use of the safety lever when you're in a competition environment, because again, the ranges are run cold. The guns are cold when they're not on the line. When you're moving or in any situation where you're not actually engaging the target on a competition, they expect that your bolt handle is going to be up and the bolt is going to be to the rear. So I hope that answers the question on that. And our last question comes from Hunter, and Hunter asks, what is truly the difference between 1, 2, or 3 screw scope rings? Some companies preach more is better, others say 1 is the way to go. I just finished my second build, but don't know what rings to get. Thank you for keeping up the great videos I watch every Monday. Well, Hunter, the scope mount I have in front of me is by Really Right Stuff. This is one of their SOAR scope mounts, and this one actually has 6-ring scope caps. But to be thoroughly honest with you, if it only had 4-ring scope caps, I really wouldn't care. What I am concerned with more than the number of screws that are holding these caps down is the quality of the rings or the quality of the mount. I've used two screw scope rings in the past. They work just fine. The scope rings that are on my M40A1 are actually 2 screw scope caps. That's just the way they were designed, but they are heavy duty steel and they are proven through time to hold tight. These guys here with 6 screws, I think really you're just getting into a little bit of extra weight. What you have to remember is most scope rings are only torqued with 15 inch-pounds. As long as the scope ring itself is concentric, then you're not really running into any great advantage with running higher rings. Now, If you have scope caps that have some big Mongo gap in here, maybe they're lower quality scope rings, then 6 screws is probably going to give you a little bit better holding power because they're probably trying to bend the ring caps around the scope tube. But as far as actually just the sheer number of screws, more is not necessarily better, less is not necessarily weaker. Look for the quality of the system over the number of screws that are in there. Spur uses more screws than most, and their rings and their mounts are absolutely exceptional. But if you go down to something like TPS rings, which have been my budget recommendation for some time, those only use 4 screws on each scope cap. So it's really, really not a big deal. Look for the quality of the scope cap or scope ring manufacturer versus the number of screws. And that's it for this Mail Call Mondays. Thank you guys for sticking with us. Thank you for watching. If you guys have any questions or comments for Mail Call Mondays, you can either send them to 8541tactical@gmail.com, or if you're watching us on YouTube, you can leave it in the comments section down below or send it to us on Facebook or Twitter. We've had a little bit of a break because of the vacation, but we've got some really exciting things on the horizon. You guys really need to stick with us. We're working on some various different avenues to publish our videos, some that you guys have requested, but I'm not ready to release anything just yet. But keep an eye on our Facebook page and keep an eye on our Instagram feed, and you guys will see what's coming up. I do want to talk about this guy in front of us real quick. Right before we left on our vacation, we were talking with Burris, and they sent out one of their new 5-25 power XTR2 rifle scopes for us to review. A lot of you guys have been asking for us to review some more budget-oriented options, some more mid-range rifle scopes. We do a lot of stuff with Night Force. We've got a US Optics that is in the mix right now, being evaluated. But you guys really have asked for something that is more pocketbook oriented. So we want to thank Burris for sending out the XTR2 for us to play with and check out. And I'm really interested to hear what you guys have to say. I know a lot of you guys have run the scopes. If you have any difficulties with it, how do you like your Burris XTR2? So please send us those comments. Also, again, we have a Really Right Stuff mount on here, so I want to thank Really Right Stuff for sending that out. I will be really interested to see how well this mount works on this scope. So pretty cool little setup there. Additionally, we are working on getting our Night Force Beast long-term review out. That has actually totally been shot. The scope has gone back to Night Force, so it's just a matter of me sitting down in front of the computer and compiling that review and getting it knocked out for you guys. So that should be coming soon. For all of you that are watching us, that are subscribing, thank you very much. For those of you out there that are Patreon subscribers, thank you very much. You are helping keeping this thing going in light of the YouTube advertising drought that we are in right now. And again, from the bottom of my heart, I can't thank you enough for helping us to keep this thing going. So again, that's it for this Mail Call Mondays. If you like the video, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. If you have questions or comments, you can leave in the comments section below, or you can send it to us on 8541tactical.com. And until next time, get out and shoot.